When I was 6 years old, my brother Noah got terribly sick and had to spend a lot of time in and out of the hospital. After that, everything in our household changed. My parents became utterly obsessed with protecting him. If Noah wanted my favorite toys, I gave them to him immediately. If he wanted my room, I packed my things and slept on the living room couch. If he broke something valuable, I was strictly told not to make him feel guilty or stressed. And whenever I tearfully asked why everything always revolved around him, my mom would simply kneel down and say, "Lily, your brother needs us more than you do right now." So, I adapted. I learned not to need anyone. By middle school, I stopped telling my parents when I was hurt or struggling. By high school, I worked to pay for most of my own clothes. And when I finally got accepted into my dream college with an academic scholarship, I didn't even celebrate because I already knew exactly what would happen. My parents called a family meeting that very night. Noah had been accepted into a private college too. He didn't get a scholarship, so my dad looked at me from across the table and said, "You can take out student loans. Noah can't handle that kind of pressure." I just stared at him. Then I whispered, "Fine." I packed my bags the next morning. Before leaving for good, I went into my childhood bedroom for one last look. That's when I noticed something strange. Tucked behind my old dresser was a loose floorboard. Underneath it sat a small envelope with my name on it. Inside was a handwritten letter from my grandmother, who had passed away when I was 10. The letter started with a terrifying sentence. "Lily, if you're reading this, your parents probably never told you the truth." My hands started violently shaking. The letter explained that when Noah was born, doctors discovered he had a serious medical condition, but there was a darker secret. My parents had been warned that Noah's condition could have been prevented if they had followed specific medical advice during the pregnancy. They hadn't, and they were terrified someone would eventually blame them. Then I read the part that made my stomach drop through the floor. My grandmother wrote that my parents had begged her to keep a massive secret. Noah wasn't actually my parents' biological child. He was my mother's younger sister's baby. My aunt tragically died shortly after giving birth. Overcome with complex guilt, my parents adopted Noah privately and raised him as their own. And me, I was their actual biological daughter. I sat on that bedroom floor for almost an hour. Suddenly, every strange conversation made perfect sense. My parents weren't protecting their sick son because they loved him more. They were desperately protecting their darkest secret. They were terrified that if anyone found out Noah wasn't their biological child, people would question why they treated me like I mattered less. So, they intentionally made me the problem. I became the selfish daughter, the difficult daughter. I confronted my parents that same night. My mom burst into tears. My dad didn't deny a single word. Then I asked the agonizing question I'd carried for 12 years. "Did you ever actually love me?" My dad looked at me for a long time and finally said, "Of course we did." I stood there waiting for something more. He didn't say another word, so I picked up my bag and walked out the door. I haven't spoken to them since. But Noah called me 2 weeks later. He had found out the whole truth too, and his first words weren't an apology. It was a completely shattered realization. "Lily, I spent my entire life thinking you were the one they loved less." Then he broke down crying over the phone, and that's when I realized the absolute cruelest part of this tragedy. They hadn't just stolen my childhood. They had spent 18 long years making both of us firmly believe we were competing for the exact same parents' love, when in reality, the only thing they were protecting was their own overwhelming guilt.